What does it mean when I say that life is a series of connected and related experiences? And what does that even have to do with our day-to-day lives? Well, consider in this day and age with all the talk about Corona and the Freedom Convoy and all the anger on one side and all the hopelessness and anxiety on another, and there's a lot that we can get mixed up in. But when we consider that with life being a series of connected and related experiences, do we choose which experiences that we're involved in? And remember that when we're talking about connected related experiences, we're talking about micro experiences. So every tiny little thing that happens all day long, all the choices we make all day long, they form the bigger things. So by going to school, by getting ready to go to school when we're little kids and going to school, and eventually all those micro experiences led to the macro experience of our education. The micro experiences from the last couple of years of lockdowns and all this stuff around the vaccines and everything else, that's created the macro experience of what we look at so far for the last couple of years of our experience with COVID. Look at that we have a choice of every little micro experience. We can decide, okay, is it worth getting into these conversations? And when we do, is it worth staying stressed and high blood pressure over all these things? Or is it something where we could participate and then decide to step back and move on with other areas of our lives? Now, one of the things that life teaches us is that everything is perfect as it is. We haven't wasted time. All we've done is assembled a bunch of experiences to build up micro and macro experiences. If everything is supposedly perfect as it is, but we've learned our whole life that nothing is perfect and nobody is perfect, then let's explore which side is actually true. Because there's, as we all know, there's so much misinformation out in the world these days that it's hard to tell which side is up even anymore. So what does life tell us about perfection? If you test yourself on this, and everything I'm telling you, everything I'm suggesting is stuff that you can just test for yourself, makes sense for you, great. If not, discard it, because your own gut instinct will guide you to your truth. So if we think about how do we feel when we look at everything's a mess and everything's upside down, and everything's wrong, how do we feel inside? What do our guts tell us? And then for most people, that just brings a lot of stress. It says like, this is really uncomfortable. But then in the instant, when we change our thoughts to everything is perfect as it is, there's purpose, reason, it's all falling together, it's all coming together the way it needs to. What happens to that stress? It just instantly evaporates and we have this peace. Now, when we connect that with what happens when you're trying to sleep and you've got stress on your mind, you're completely stressed out, are you going to be able to sleep? And life shows us that if we're stressed, we're not going to sleep. So since sleep is something that we need all the time, we might escape it for one night or two, but not for long, and then we're going to catch up. So life teaches us that sleep is absolutely necessary. And it teaches us that we can sleep when we're at peace. So when we know that our thought is perfect as it is, brings us to peace, which allows us to sleep, gives us an indication that if we pay attention to what life shows us, then things are perfect as they are. And we can choose to either remain stressed or choose to be at peace. Your choice, you do what you want with it. But if life is guiding us to see things in the perfection that it is, we consider things like, look at a mosquito, the way the thing is built. Look at the way it functions. Look at the way everything has a yin and a yang, everything flows stuff. But could the ugly stuff exist without the complete opposite? Then we can see, okay, we may not be in alignment with their views, and that's okay too, because we're going to be in alignment with 7.5 billion people and their views, because there's so many varying views. But that's why we don't live all on top of each other. There's so many places where anybody can live that we can choose where we want to be. The more we get into stressful conversations, the more stressful people are around us. That's the universe at work. That's the law of attraction. That's manifestation at work. So the same happens when we decide, okay, we're going to shut off whatever media, whatever, we're going to just focus on stuff that we like, that's calm. We're going to wander a desolate beach somewhere. We're going to talk to a group of friends where just about something exciting about life. And then automatically we're in a different state. So by understanding that life is a series of connected and related experiences, and that we choose every experience, and if we don't like the experiences we're having, we can change. So for example, if we don't like the way we wake up in the morning, well, then we can make changes to the way that we go to sleep at night, what we're thinking about, what we're doing, so that we're excited to wake up in the morning. That might take a little bit of work, but once we realize that we choose the micro experiences, now we can say, okay, well, wait a minute, I've been making some lousy choices lately. I should be making better choices, different choices, so I get different results. Now, it's not my place to change everybody's opinion. It's not my place to change everybody's mind. People are going to have their views. People are going to be right. People are going to be wrong. At the end of the day, when we live our life, we look for what's the truth, what we want to know. Do we want to be vaccinated? Do we not want to be vaccinated? We make a choice and leave each person to their own choice. Because once we're too polarized in our views, once we're like polarized, think of it this way, North Pole, South Pole, once we're frozen in our views, how are we ever going to get any kind of new information? How are we ever going to get any, we could be frozen in the wrong view for years. Aristotle with his idea about the sun revolving around the earth. And then it took like over 1,600 years for the humanity to allow somebody like Galileo to say, well, wait a minute, that's not exactly right. And they locked him up for the rest of his life under house arrest and it turned out the guy was right. So how do we really know that our views are right? For example, when we talk about COVID, and then there's people saying, well, the vaccines are so helpful and everything. The other side of that, we see that these big pharma companies are seeking court orders to lock up information for 75 years. It kind of leaves a gray area, because to my way of thinking is if there's all this valuable information about these vaccines, then why wouldn't they just share that information? That's what businesses do. Hey, we got this fantastic product and we get the documentation to provide it, to prove it. But that's not what's happening. So it leaves a question in my mind, what is the safety of this? And then I hear things like institutions like in the United States, the VAERS, vaccine, anybody can phone in, whatever happens with the vaccine results they get, they can report them. And these are all gathered, documented, and they suggest over 1 million people in the States died from the vaccine, just from the vaccine alone. So I don't know what the truth is behind all this. It's stuff that you can just look it up, VAERS, and do your own research. But when there's so much conflicting information, I don't want to be at either end. The vaccine may be right, it may be wrong, I don't know. For myself, I'm not going to risk it. But for you, do what you think is right. It's your body, it's your life. Do what you need to do. But if you find yourself in stress over all of it, consider that the stress might be coming from trying to defend a view. And why are you doing that? Because defending a view only means that we're trying to change other people's opinions. That's not our job. Our job is to create the life that we love. And we do that by starting with ignoring what the whole world's telling us. I mean, you've probably seen that already. You got all these people telling you what to do, religion, government, education, business. They all have a purpose for your life. But what about your own purpose? What about our own purpose for our life? How do we ever find that if we listen to what all those other groups have to say? They want to believe that we're imperfect. But is that really the fact? It's not what life teaches us. Now you've got a bit of insight into that. Make your own choices. If you want to learn more about this, have a look at some of the free videos I've got on YouTube under John Verway 2020. Spotify podcast that I put up, 24 life ingredients. The first 11 episodes are up and they cover all exactly this what I'm talking about. From there, you can just continue research and continue testing these things out. I'll give you one final little test to give you an idea where all of this goes to. We have a huge amount of power in our minds, every one of us. And when we sneeze, we've been trained to believe that that's related to illness. But what I've found out over the years, an experiment with many people, is that when we sneeze, it's because we're allergic to our own thoughts. Whatever we just thought has triggered the sneeze. And then it goes a step further. When you get a runny nose, it's just a much more elaborate thought, much more deeper thought, but that we're allergic to. Now, when you do a simple exercise, like taking a few deep breaths and just be creative, either you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, or in through your mouth, out through your nose, depending what you're trying to create in your own physical being, you'll notice that that sneeze or runny nose disappears for good for weeks or months at a time. until you have another thought that you're allergic to. Test it out for yourself. See what happens. I found it to be true, and that works. So now the point of that is that when we understand that what we think we know about medicine is likely skewed, maybe totally wrong, then we can say, okay, well, if that's how that works, then what else can I do with my mind? And that leads to that the only way to fail in life, no matter what you're going to set out to do, the only way to fail is if you don't have faith. Now, faith, the same as life, same as love, each has a very specific definition. Faith is the complete absence of doubt. Nothing more, nothing less. Either we believe we're going to be able to do something. So let's take a crazy example. Let's say I'm going to look for, to find a live unicorn with a chrome horn, okay? Now, as long as I have faith that that exists, then I'm going to look for it, and I'm going to believe that's possible to find it. But the moment that I don't believe that it's possible, that's not going to happen. Now, I'm not sure that I believe that anyways, but that already I don't have any faith in that, so there's no way that that's coming together for me. Now, let's take it to something else. You have an idea of something that inspires you. You've observed something, you think, hey, that would be really cool to try. Well, the only way that you're going to fail is by not pursuing it. If you don't pursue what you're interested in, then you're going to fail because you don't have the faith in yourself. But as long as you have faith that it's possible, then you're going to do it. It'll come together. And you're not alone in this. The universe always brings things into alignment. Like everything already exists in the universe. All the answers we need to anything are there. And have you noticed how they come so easily to us? You'll fall asleep sometimes with a question on your mind and wake up with the answer. Where did that come from? From the universe. The universe is constantly, through like law of attraction, is constantly bringing you the answers to the questions you have, bringing the pieces together that you need for things to happen. Watch for it in your life. You'll see it happening. You'll see it in the small things, and then you can start using it in the big things. The same way that the thinking about the sneezing works, that's the power of our mind. You see, to round this out for today, the whole idea of spirituality, of spirit, is that when we look at a funeral, we can see that we have a physical body and it can't do anything on its own. So we know the physical body by itself is useless. So what is it that caused it to jump out of bed in the morning, to get up, to argue, to laugh, to scream, to cry, to love? Well, that's the spirit. So spirituality is actually understanding what is it that the spirit does that causes our physical body to act and react. And so that's all starts with thought. What we think, it causes what we do, and what we do, it all turns into the physical. So what we manifest spiritually manifests physically. So it all starts with thought. So for example, you've got some kind of illness or some kind of poor health or some issue. What we're thinking alters the chemical makeup of our body. And it's not until we change our thinking at the subconscious level, it's got to percolate all the way to the subconscious level, and then it starts to affect our physical being. So whatever thinking brought us to the illness, then it's going to take a different kind of thinking to bring us back to health. And there's lots of free resources. You can go through all these videos I put together. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not wasting your time. I hope you found good value in these minutes that we've been together. Look it up, watch this again, but you hold so much power in your mind. And when you're using it, then you create and control the kind of life that you have. So make the most of it. Take the time to step back, take the deep breaths. 3 or 4 breaths sometimes is enough to bring you right back to that meditated level of peace that you need to make calm, wise choices. Meditation isn't locking yourself in some room somewhere and then doing a half-hour thing. Meditation is an ongoing, all day long. Am I at peace? Am I stressed? Take a few deep breaths, return to peace, and then you've meditated yourself back. And the more that you practice that, there's no need for a separate box of meditation. Meditation is the state of being peace. If you're not at peace, then you bring yourself to peace instantly by looking at everything is perfect. I'm exactly in the right space at the right time, doing what I need to do. There's nothing wrong. And so I can just enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the world, enjoy the darkness, enjoy whatever, knowing that everything is perfect as it is. So on your journey, I'm wishing you all the best. Watch the videos, learn what you can. Above all, share them with people. Follow the different channels where you're seeing this. I look forward to seeing you sometime. I wish you all the best.